Yes, yeah.
Okay. I think today Selvi has posted, yesterday she has posted a question, how to handle spillover of work items from the sprint. So what are the best practices we are handling in your team, or we will discuss what is happening in our team. So somebody wants to start? Selvi, you want to start first?
Yeah, Madhi, I can start. So, okay. So first of all, let's understand about the spillover. So what happens in the sprint planning? In sprint planning, according to the available capacity and the priority from the product owner, we will prepare the sprint backlog. So a sprint backlog will be always associated with a sprint goal. So for the team, a sprint goal to be achieved with the help of the sprint backlog. So sprint backlog may have different number of, different type of work items, like it can have sprint, spikes, technical depth, defects, user stories, so and so. Generally, it should be a combination. We have already seen that what are the combinations. Generally, it will be useful in some of our sessions earlier. It's using that 15, 5, 10 rule. We can manage the sprint backlog. So now we will be working on the sprint backlog. What happens at the end of the sprint? Sprint is a time boxed event. So even though we complete the work or not, at the 10th day or whatever the sprint length it suggests, if it is 10-day sprint or 15-day sprint or 20 days, accordingly, on the last day of the sprint backlog is done, even though the status of the work items are not closed. If the work items are closed, then it's fine. If the work items are not closed, then we call that a spillover, which means in the particular period of time we are unable to complete that work, that will become a spillover work item for the upcoming sprints. Now this happens generally. If personally I prefer that if when spillover is happening, we should not take that as a failure or something, because it is accepted, right? There is always like up and down, so it is okay. But we want to understand, and how are we handling this spillover? That is the whole practice as a scrum master, how we need to manage it. So the first thing is, how are we really updating and communicating the information to the stakeholders? Generally, it's a good practice when we are working on certain things. Like, for example, when your sprint planning is done, you will be sharing a sprint closure report. So sprint closure report, you will be saying these all are the items as part of this sprint we are committing as a team. So we know that sprint planning, sorry, not sprint closure report, I used wrong. Sprint planning report will have all these details. What are the work items that we are going to commit? So now stakeholders are aware of, okay, at the end of the sprint, we can expect all these items to be part of our demo, and we can also validate it, and it will be made as part of the done state. When we know that some of the things are not working out, like on 4th day, 5th day, we really know that it is not working out, there is a potential spillover that we are able to see, we need to update them. So it's not necessary we need to update that there is a spillover coming up. We need to make this as a practice, which is called as a mid-sprint summary report. What is this mid-sprint summary report called as? Whatever we have shared it as the sprint planning report, take that as a base year, and say where are we with respect to each and every work item. Like if we have 4 user stories, out of that 3 are in progress. The 4th one, you know that we are unable to pick it up on, because we are on mid of the sprint exactly, and we know that we are not able to touch it at all because we are already blocked, and we cannot take that up going forward. So what we will be doing here in this case, here itself we can say that not started as the status, Whereas for all the others, they are in active state and they are on track. Whereas for this one, we can say like it's not yet started, looks like a potential spillover work item. So we are preparing the stakeholders also that something is going on, something is going to come on our way as a spillover, so that it will not be a shock or surprise at the end of the sprint. And the second one is, when we are preparing this and when we are inching towards the closure of the sprint, we know that the spillover happened. At the end of the sprint, when we say that sprint closure report is getting routed, we need to ensure, not saying that this item is not closed or this item is spilled over. That is known to everyone. So what is the catch-up plan from our side as a team to manage this situation? When I say catch-up plan, how many percentage we have completed, what is the reason that it got spilled over, because we will not repeat that as a lesson learned, right? And another thing is like, what is the action that we will be planning to pick this up? Like, are we going to pick this work item in the upcoming sprint? If we are going to pick this up in the upcoming sprint, what is the impact it is going to make? When I say impact, because next sprint we would have already planned some items, right? According to the priority, even product owner would have thought, hey, like work items A, B, C should go in this sprint. But now moving this item to the upcoming sprint, what is the impact for the already planned items? Are we seeing any challenge, or it is a very small work or very less work that we need to manage and we will be still able to cope up with? So that impact we need to say. So now we know that what is the missing part and what is our catch-up plan. So with this, we are also gaining the confidence as a team. We are gaining the confidence from our stakeholders. The reason is, we are not only saying that it got spilled over, we already have a plan to work from our side. And now the next thing is, when we have all these kind of spillovers, it is always not only recommended, it is advised that best to discuss this point in our retrospective meeting. The reason is, that is a place we will understand what are the issues that are happening. For example, what are the real problems that we faced, because of which we actually spilled over this work item and we were unable to proceed with. So we really want to understand from that angle, from everyone, whoever worked on that particular work item, who tested on that, and from the product owner. Sometimes what happens, we may get to know some very different opinion, like this work item we plan to pick it up, but unfortunately the other one what we were working, we got so much of changes on the go. Like during the sprint execution itself, we got so many changes, and those changes made us not to concentrate on this work, because of which we were unable to proceed. So we are getting to know that not because of the capacity or not because of the planning, it is because of the scope changes that came during the sprint execution. And sometimes what we will be getting to know, we'll be getting to know that our estimation technique itself was not so right. We thought it is, we missed the dependencies in our estimation. So we gave only 3 story points, but actually it was more. So at the end, we kind of like underestimated and overcommitted on the things that we have planned. And in other situations, it is also something which we may be understanding. We have not planned the dependency management well. Even though we identified the dependencies, we have not identified who all are the action owners and what is the target date, so that our execution will be smooth. And in some cases, we have not tracked the risk at all. So all these things will help us in our learning not to make these mistakes again in our upcoming work items that we will be planning. That is point number 1. And point number 2 is, in the next refinement meeting, it will be always available at everyone's mind that, okay, we missed this at our last sprint. So just to ensure what are the dependencies and who all are the people who are going to work, and all those things, they will be able to check it out. So in that way, we will be improving as a team as well because of this learning. And in addition, this spillover will definitely hit other metrics like commitment, reliability, and our variance. So that time also we need to tell, is this accepted or not? Because always, even yesterday's call also we were talking about that. commitment reliability, always not 100% is not possible. There will be always up and down. So it's okay that we missed one user story now, but are we actually still within the range of acceptable range or not? That is another thing that we need to think of. And if it is a pattern that is continuing, what is the problem behind that? So the spillover is going to handle all these things. And the very important best practices, just to have that mid sprint report that we discussed at the very beginning of today's discussion. So that will help us to understand where we are and how we are progressing. And it will also give a heads up to the people well in advance before even we reach the last day of the sprint. This is my take on spillovers.
Thank you, Salvi. So anyone else?
So how we are going to handle a situation? Suppose we are having 3 weeks of sprint, and on the last week we came to know that this particular user story is we can't do it. We can't carry forward because of some dependency with the other team who is on vacation or who is on marriage leave, and it's going to be a spillover, and it's suppose 5 story point or more than that. So do we need to highlight or how we are going to handle this?
Okay, so let me share my views on this question. So first of all, we will not be knowing on the last day, because if we are tracking it every day very religiously, we will be knowing that we will not be able to complete this because there is a dependency. So when we know that there is a dependency, like a person is unavailable because of long leave, so here we need to plan it in a better way. Anyway, we are blocked now and we are not going to proceed, and we came to know on 5th day or 6th day. Why to waste the rest of the 5 days with this work, because it's anyway blocked, we are not going to proceed. So now we need to talk to the product owner and understand this item we are going to take out of the uh, sprint backlog, and what is the next priority item you suggest that can be pushed inside the sprint backlog without impact. When I say without impact, it should not again bring every team member for a quick meeting and make them understand, hey, this is what we are planning, and this is what we are moving out, then this is what we are bringing in, who can work, and what is the time taken, any dependencies. That much of time we don't have, and that is also another problem, that we are deviating a team what they are actually focused on with. So we need to be really careful if we are identifying. That's what the mid sprint report always help us. If we feel that there is a blocker, uh, we are blocked, we should accept that we are blocked and we fail to handle the dependency well. Like when we are refining itself, we know that there is a third party dependency or external team dependency. We would have either handled the dependency separately as a task and then pick this item as a part of sprint backlog. That is a real good decision. But when we were unable to do that, we have directly taken that, considering on the fly we will resolve the dependency, which have not worked it out well. That also is a learning. It's okay. Now we need to think in a way, okay, we are on 5th day and now we are completely blocked, we don't have any other option. Now let's take this item out of our sprint backlog, and whenever we are doing this, we should update our stakeholders what is the change that's happening in the sprint backlog, because our commitment has changed. So we should say that we are blocked for so and so reason. For this reason, we are taking this item out of our backlog and we are bringing this item inside our product backlog, and PO and the team is aligned on that. So very important thing is, PO may be having a good number of items according to the priority, but whether team is ready to pick that up, that is also another concern. If that work what we are picking it up new inside the sprint backlog maybe actually initially itself we know that it will not be getting completed within this period, then we should not even think of taking that. It's okay that we are blocked, we cannot proceed on that item. Let's only focus on other items, and if we are able to take something extra, let's take it. If we cannot, let's stay with what we have planned and let's successfully complete the other work items. That should be our call. Yeah, this is my view.
So the same question, but in different way. We don't have dependency on the other team, but the assignee of that ticket particular task is suppose on COVID tip. So is it a good practice to reach out the other team member and get it done?
Uh, can you repeat the question, Monica? The team member who's supposed to work on that.
It's on COVID leave, suppose for 15
Okay.
days, some
Okay, it
emergency
is
medical leave.
accepted. Yeah, it is an emergency leave. It's a sick leave. It happens. That's why actually
Mm.
our velocity will also go up and down, right? It is
So,
accepted. It
so
is
we
not.
will reach out the other team member, Selvi, or we will park it, or
No, other
mm,
team member means your other team members who are already working will have enough on their plate, right? So
yes,
whom we can consider? We cannot consider. We should accept these kind of situations, and these are situations which will happen. Like we cannot predict like till the end of the sprint we will have the same capacity what we have planned will be the reality, because obviously unfortunate situations may come and people fall sick and they may be taking leave. So these are the situations which we need to accept. In your end of the sprint closure report, you can very well say that we are unable to complete this work item because of unplanned sick leaves happened in the team. And for that particular item, what is the catch up plan, you should say that should be fine, because you cannot push other team members because they don't have the capacity, right, to take
yeah,
that up.
yeah. So our management, what they say here is just check internally in your team who is having some low or hanging fruit and low priority items. So ask them to deprioritize and prioritize if the one the assignee is working is on high priority. Assign that work internally to your team. If that is also not feasible, look into the other team and get it done.
See,
It's
one
a
thing.
blocker kind of thing.
Okay, one thing what I can suggest is, in some situations what will happen, user story A should be completed for user story B to be started. So what we would have planned is, we would have planned user story A in sprint 1, and till this is not completed, user story B, which will happen in sprint 2, which is already planned, cannot move on. Unfortunately, what happens, this particular story, user story A, we are unable to complete. If it is a situation that there is a switch between the task which is possible, like you mentioned, you can very well do that, considering team members are not impacted because of these changes. Like someone is working for 3 days in something, no, just hold this and pick that up, that will affect, means you should not do that. If team is okay to proceed on that, you should stand with your team and you should do that. And in this case, another one more point I just want to mention is, it is not at all a good idea always to have this kind of tightly coupled work items in sprint 1 and sprint 2, because by chance if the work item is failed to be closed, then you have problem in your sprint 2, and your sprint 2 also would go for a again a change in the commitment. So you need to really plan. You have some gap between the sprint 1 and 2. So what you can do is, sprint 1, sprint 2 you leave it. If there is a chance, by chance if there is some failure in sprint 1, still we have sprint 2 to catch up, so that sprint 3 will go smoothly. This is one way. But what you have mentioned, there are situations, but again it depends on the team. You cannot ask your developer on 7th day, just stop all your work what you are doing, because this is priority, work on this to close that. If uh, if team is okay, it's okay. But if team is not okay, and it is not going to benefit any one of us, because they cannot immediately, task switching is also another problem, right? We may get deviated, and there are chances it may end up successfully, or it may, we may be in a situation to make both the work items into an incompleted state. So we need to be really careful whether team is okay to do that or not. So in that way we should plan it. It's not only because of priority, it should also with, because team is the set of people who are going to commit and work on that. So if they are fine with that task switching, we should encourage that. If they have some trouble or they are highly going to be impacted, we should not encourage that. We should say that this is an accepted uh, spillover because of the unavailability of the person. So we should be able to manage this in the upcoming sprint. That should be the way we should plan it.
Anyone else have this any idea on this question? Kunjan, Saravana, how do you handle the situation? Arun, your thought on the question?
I joined recently, Madi. What's the question?
We posted in the group how to handle spillover of work items from aspirant. Like we discussed the one, but we are just asking others' view.
Sylvie, I have a question.
Go ahead, Kartikeya.
You said that because I missed some point about the commitment reliability. Once the spillover is there, we lose the commitment reliability. Can you please explain further?
So what is it you are concerned about, Kartikeya? So you understand what is commitment, right? What is commitment and what is meant by reliability, right?
No.
Okay.
Today's question is actually that how we can deal with the spillovers.
Correct.
And while discussing that, and as Shelby explained, when there is a spillover, we are going to lose the commitment reliability.
Correct.
So what is the relation I would like to know?
Oh, no. So first, you understand what is commitment reliability, right?
Yes.
Could you explain? So what is per you is commitment reliability?
I have no idea.
Okay, anyway, I'm a bit late, so I will put my perspective. So my understanding is the commitment reliability is a number. A bigger number says that my commitment is reliable. A smaller number says that my commitment is not reliable. So if you take me as a representation of the team, my commitment reliability, if it is high, that means whenever I say a number from my team's perspective, that these many story points my team can deliver, then you as somebody outside of the team can trust that number. Okay. If my commitment reliability is very less, then when I say that me as a team can deliver this many story points, then you as an external person cannot trust the number because my commitment reliability is very less. So That's the first thing. So if a commitment reliability is high, then that particular team, whatever number that they say will be delivered by the end of that sprint can be what do you say? We can trust that number.
Okay. Can we actually say, I might be wrong? Let's say, so far I understood that you will give the commitment reliability after the sprint planning, not at the end of the sprint.
Yes. So the understanding is commitment reliability will be a number that every team will be able to give, or you can find out for every team. So if there are like 10 teams involved, each team will have a commitment reliability number.
No, I'm saying, let's say you are the scrum master for a team and you have done your sprint planning and you say we actually plan to deliver 30 story points for the coming sprint that we are going to working on.
Okay.
That means your commitment reliability is 30, right?
Not exactly. The commitment reliability is not a number that each team can tell. It is a number that we find out from the history of the team. So each team can only tell that this is the what you say, the capacity of the team, and this is the number of story points we are planning to deliver. Now the reliability is a number that I don't know who you are. If you may be a program manager or somebody who is higher up, who is having the insight into all the teams, you will have this number based on the past life cycle of the team, like past prediction, what they delivered, each team, right? When they start, they will be telling that, okay, this many story points we're taking for this sprint. Are they able to deliver? So based on that, the commitment reliability is a number between 0 and 1, right? It should it's not like a 30 or anything. It's if it's 1, it means that we can rely on the number that the team says. If the team says that I will deliver or we will deliver 30 story points in this sprint, if their commitment reliability is 1, then you should give full importance and believe that, okay, they will be able to deliver 30 story points by that sprint end. If their commitments is say 0.5 based on what we have seen so far, whatever number they give, you multiply it by 0.5, and that is what you should be looking for. Go ahead, Karthikeyan.
I'm sorry to say that I'm not completely clear, but looks like I need to learn much from there. But how it is different from the velocity then? Because velocity, you'll know once your sprint is completed, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So how it is different than the commitment reliability? Because are you going to match your commitment reliability with the velocity at the end of the sprint?
See, Karthikeya. So the commitment reliability is going to tell you if you are somebody in the management, right? Somebody who is looking at a lot of teams. Okay. Now the commitment reliability is going to tell you how much the team is experienced in their estimation. Okay. So this commitment reliability is, again, like I told you, is a number between 0 and 1. So if the reliability is 1, and then whichever team is having that reliability number as 1, whatever number they say that, okay, we will be finishing 30 story points in the sprint, then you have to believe that number. It means they will be able to deliver that 30 story points because their commitment reliability is 1. That means you can rely 100% on their commitment. If any team's commitment reliability is 0.5, it means whenever they say any number, you can believe only 50% of that. So if they say that, okay, we'll be able to deliver 10 story points, 10 into 0.5, right? If the team's reliability is 0.5, you can believe that only 50 or 0.5% of what or 50% of whatever they are
Able to deliver.
they will be able to deliver. So that is the significance of this particular number.
Okay.
So
I don't know. I think even I am not able to understand the difference between commitment reliability and the velocity if we do the estimation.
See, Gunjan, see, velocity, like you know, right, is a lagging indicator. Means based on how the teams perform, you can come up with a velocity. If the team is delivering 50 story points or 25 story points, you just add up the story points for each sprint, divided by the number of sprints completed, you will get a velocity. Now, this is one number. Now, the next number is how much the team is experienced in their estimation. So if a team is very good in estimation, then the team will have the estimation, what's that, index or whatever, right? That will be 1 for that team. That means that team can deliver whatever it commits. Means that team is so good in the work that is being done that the team understand the works completely. Is that if the team commits to 50 story points, they will be able to deliver 50 story points at the end of the sprint. So it doesn't matter the number. It doesn't matter whether they commit to 1 story point or 10 story point or 50 story points. Whatever story points the team commits to, they will be able to deliver. That is the meaning of this, the number being 1.
Okay.
Maybe Arun, we will have a separate session on this one, on commitment reliability.
Okay, Madhi. Let's ask Selvi to talk. Selvi is silent for too long. Selvi, go ahead, Selvi.
We will have a separate session with Selvi explaining on this one. Okay,
Yeah,
Selvi?
yeah, we can have a separate session on what is commitment reliability. Slightly we touched yesterday also this point. I think probably for people it may help. You can refer yesterday's recording session, what we have shared in the group. We talked about commitment reliability and velocity's difference. All your questions are right, because both are actually talking on same aspect, but what is the difference? Maybe we can plan a separate session, but for quick reference, you can also refer to yesterday's recording.
And Sylvie, also like how you said that spillovers can also affect the commitment reliability. So if you can explain again in the session, that would be super.
Yeah. I think hopefully it will answer if we get to know the difference between velocity and commitment reliability itself. So yeah, maybe next session we will plan this, and I will add this spillover related thing also.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Now coming back to the original question, somebody wants to add some points, or how do you do it in your team? Or any other questions you have?
Yeah, I have one question. Assume the team has taken some, say, a bunch of stories for that particular sprint. What happens if they finish those stories before the end of the sprint?
Arun, I think we can add more stories. It's not defined anywhere, like we cannot add more stories in the running sprint. So so just an example, we did an estimation with the previous sprint, understanding like we can take n number of stories, and we came up with a buffer also because of some issues. Okay, in the previous sprint, so we took the buffer time as well, and we were able to deliver the stories in the current sprint. So I think I am open to add more stories in the sprint because it's not going to hamper the sprint goal actually. Even I can discuss with my POs and within the team also, like if they are willing to take, if they feel like they can take the stories and they can deliver in the running sprint also, then it's always open to add the more stories. It's my view.
Thanks, Kunjan. So my my concern about that concept is, if that is the case, then why even go for a sprint planning? Why not uh, take like 100 stories or say 20 stories from the top of the list instead of finding out, spending time finding out how much time each story is going to take? Because if you're going to finish it ahead of time, then you're going to take more stories. If you're going to finish behind, spill over, okay, fine. So why even go for a sprint planning?
Well, for my project, we are just doing the refinement session, and from there we are picking the stories. We don't have a sprint planning, official sprint planning meeting as well. Okay, so we just try to see what are the stories we have prepared from the backlog. Okay, and which stories we can pick with the help of POs. We do the discussions in the refinement session, in fact, and we try to see what is the team capacity through which we pick the stories. Okay, so for me, we don't have the official sprint planning. But again, coming back to the question, maybe like so. See again, if the team is picking the stories in each sprint, okay, additional to what they planned initially, it means like they are doing the overestimation somewhere, due to which maybe because of some reasons, some buffer they want to add. That's why they are adding these buffers, and that's why still they are able to finish those stories before that. And it gives an idea like we need to discuss in the retro somewhere, because even if they are doing more estimations, which is not a right process, okay, so that can be a question for the retro somewhere. And but again, sometimes like maybe we estimated like one of my developer will be available for only 5 days in a sprint, but suddenly he canceled his leave somewhere. Okay, now I have an open his time is still available for the sprint, so it gives an idea like we can add more somewhere.
Uh, Got it, Kunjan. Thank you.
Maybe someone else can add more actually on this. I share my views. Bharti or Salvi or Monica.
Well, in our project, in retro, we take some improvement which is like with this sprint, you should take this improvement and you have to commit it. So it's not like that it should be getting complete in that particular sprint. We can take two sprint or three sprint. So in case someone has completed their task before time, so we ask them to focus on the improvement and make some progress. Or any spike from the next sprint, just to go for study, what are the things required to um, have a brief walk through with the spike and get things handy before the sprint starts. So we take it like that.
Arun, what are your views on this?
I'm fine with that, Gunjan. My idea is always whatever works for you is the right thing for you. So that has always been my principle. So let's see what Mati, Selvi, and others think. Go ahead, Mati.
Okay, so before Adi joins back, let me add my views also on this. I am completely aligned with what Gunjan has mentioned. If it is keep on repeating in every sprint, then there is somewhere a problem in our estimation itself. Like we are either overestimating on the work items or we are under committing on our sprint backlog. So if it is happening in one sprint in like in a quarter or in a year, that is still okay because it may not happen every time. Sometimes, yeah, we thought that it may go on for a long time because of the dependency, but we cleared it well in advance, or we never realized the dependency at all. So that kind of situations, we will be completing well in advance the task, and we have some kind of space to pick up the other task. But in cases where we are keep on repeating this in every sprint, fifth day, sixth day itself, team is done with the sprint backlog, and we are actually waiting for what can be pulled from the product backlog, then it is not the right thing, because we have a dedicated planning meeting just to understand what is aligned with the sprint goal. We will plan it. We will not plan things what is only available with high priority. We will also check whether we are meeting the DOR, whether we have any dependency which should be taken care separately, or this sprint backlog item should be completed for the upcoming sprint. In the if we are in sprint n, then sprint n plus 1 has any kind of dependency with these sprint backlog items. Will we be able to complete? Whether we need to certainly change the upcoming sprints or what? These all things will help us if we do have a detailed sprint planning meeting. If we are not utilizing that well, and on fifth day, sixth day, then again we are looking for some more work items, then we are not planning it well, or we are overestimating on the work items. So in that case, we need to go ahead and see what is our story point one work item that we thought, and how are we doing that relative estimation. Where is the issue that's happening, and we need to fix that problem and then start utilizing it properly in the estimation activity, so that we will not face it again. This is my view on this question. Okay, any other questions from anyone?
Selvi, my question again is, what if the team is finishing the stories before the end of the sprint? What happens then?
Yeah, that's what I mentioned. If it is happening every sprint, it may not happen every sprint, right, Arun? It may happen once in a year, or maybe not
The
at all.
first time. Let's assume it happens the first time.
No, that is okay. It happens only once it is
No. What happens at that time? So once the sprint is not complete,
we first approach will be like, we should talk to the product owner, what can be the next item. In my opinion, situations like this, I have not pulled the work item directly to the sprint backlog, because all the team members will not be free. and we will not be able to commit on that. We should ask the developer or the person who is going to work on that, are you ready to commit for the next 2 days to complete this work item? If they are able to complete that, we will pull it to the sprint backlog. If they are not pulling it, we will ask them to work and take the credit on the upcoming sprint. That's the way we actually follow.
I didn't understand that concept of work, but take credit next sprint.
Yeah, because we cannot complete, right? Like now I'm telling on 8th day, first of all, sprint planning report had gone and you have committed for 30 story points in this sprint. And now you are going to pick up one, which is appreciable. But that should not become a question for your team or to ask your team why you are why there is a spillover item. Actually, it is not a spillover. It is an added item that you have picked it up. So it is completely not with the Scrum Master or a product owner to take this call. It is completely your developer or your team member, because it's not only the developer effort, right? It is also about a tester, whether we have all that bandwidth available to commit on that work item, because an individual is not going to commit on a work item. It's a team who is going to commit on the work item. So as a team, are we ready to commit on this extra work item that we are planning? If yes, we will add it in the sprint backlog. If not, we will ask the person to work, because we have some time with the person, so they can work on that, and next sprint it will be taken as the official sprint backlog item, and we will continue where we have stopped. Okay, any other questions for the day?
Should we reply to the question which was asked from Karthik on the spillover? Or he should have a look at the video of yesterday. I haven't seen, so not much.
Gunjan, can you repeat that question, what you asked?
So I think Karthik was asking on the spillover, like how it's going to impact the reliability. Okay. So should we reply it, or it is already covered in the yesterday video, so audio actually, so we can have a look at that?
Yeah, it is covered in the yesterday's question itself. Like yesterday also, I think Monica brought the question related to velocity and how to improve on that. So we have touched on commitment reliability as well. So you can refer to that yesterday's recording. And still, if we have questions on that, definitely on spillover part, we can discuss tomorrow also. Will that be okay, Kartikeya?
Yes, Selvi, I'll go through that video.
Yeah, hopefully you will get it. Maybe it will definitely answer your question, but I'll be happy to answer if you still have questions tomorrow also.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I think if no other questions, can we close the call?
Sure, sir. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you everyone for joining.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much.